morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio, so today we need to take a look at some new supporter cards from Hot Air Arena, the upcoming Pokemon TCG expansion. And I say new cards, and they kind of are, well, one of them's new and one of them's not new, but it's new kind of-ish, and we need it. We'll get to that one in a minute. But first, MC's hype. Love this. Absolutely love this. Has made me question a little bit my Japanese learning because Moriage is MC's, and I'm like, oh, hang on a second. I know what that means. I didn't know it as hype. I know it as swell. But you know what? Close enough, ladies and gentlemen. Hype does swell. It will do. Shout out, as always, to lovely Anton Boulet for being way better at translating the names of these than I am. But what we've got here is a supporter card that draws 2 cards. No, that's terrible. But if you've got 3 or fewer prize cards remaining, you get to draw 4. 2 extra, 4 in total. And yeah, now we're talking. That's cool. Like, Pokemon doesn't give us a draw 4. They don't let us draw 4. That literally never happens. There's always a catch when it comes to drawing 4. We can draw 3. Nemona is the current draw 3, although all the Friends cards draw 3. We've had a bazillion draw 3 cards, right? Pokemon is more than happy to let us draw 3. That's a thing. Fine. Drawing 4 cards, Pokemon just don't let us do. That is not a thing. They never let us do that without jumping through some hoops. There's a million cards over the years that let us draw 4, but there's always something else we've got to do. Take Bug Catcher as an example. So that's a card that lets us draw 2, but if you can flip ahead, then you get to draw 2 more, for instance. Or we've got stuff like Faulkner from Paldea Evolved. Draw 2 cards, but if there's a stadium in play, or if you have a stadium in play, you get to draw 2 more. Or Norman, draw 2 cards if your opponent's active Pokemon is a Pokemon EX. Draw 2 more cards. We've seen a bunch of these over the years, and most of them just don't see a lot of play. And I'm not going to pretend that they do, because they don't. So, with all of that borne in mind, could MC's hype be an exception? And the answer is, it could, but it's going to be a nice little bonus. It's not going to be part of your core strategy. And the reason it cannot be part of your core strategy is because for a big part of the game, you only draw 2 cards. Like, you cannot be playing this turn 1 and drawing 2 cards. You can't be doing it. That's clearly terrible. It's not going to work. But what you can be doing is playing this when you've got 3 or fewer prize cards remaining and drawing 4. So what we need to do is play this as kind of a 1 or a 2 of. It's not our main card here, it's not our main supporter line, but it's one that we can take advantage of. It's one that we can search out. You know, we're going to be playing stuff like, I'm not saying Hoot Hoot itself, although some people will, but things like Hoot Hoot that let us search out trainer cards, or supporter cards, or something like that. This is a candidate. If you're playing a deck which is playing any card which will allow you to search out supporter cards, this will work very nicely indeed. And the thing is, we know we can manipulate this. So, I've got 4 prize cards remaining. What am I going to do? Use Magneton to accelerate some energy. Oh, now we've got 3 prize cards remaining. I can just draw 4. Or, hang on a second, I'll just use Dusknoir to take a big KO on one of my opponent's Pokemon. Now I've got 3 prize cards remaining. We know that we can go behind on prizes here. We've been doing this for a while, using these self-KO abilities to activate these abilities that only work if you've got so many prize cards, or etc. If you're behind on prizes, things like that. Could it work? Maybe. Like, Faulkner is a bit of a pain because you have to have a stadium in play, which means you've got to draw into your stadium. If your opponent's got a stadium, it's all a big annoying thing. And Norman's a bit of a pain because there's entire matchups where your opponent will never have a Pokemon EX in play, so you've got a dead supporter in a bunch of matchups. That's not going to work. This, however, You can manipulate in some decks when you go to 3 prize cards remaining, and when you've got 3 remaining, you're always going to have 3 remaining. I don't think it is a card you can play as a 4 of and use it as a real key part of your strategy. What I do think, however, is you can play it as a 1 or 2 of in decks where you can search it out fairly easily. I'm giving it a generous seeming 3 wassies. I don't think this is the next great supporter card. I do think it is going to see play in some decks, because a straight draw 4 without having to discard anything or shuffle your hand back into your deck or anything like that can actually be a nice bit of a bonus. Also, as a side note, busted in pre-releases. Like the second your opponent's got 1 prize taken, they'll have 3 or fewer prize cards remaining, so yeah. Then it will be on. Great in pre-releases, in standard. I can see it as a 1 or 2 of in decks that can search out supporters. But Judge is back. We like Judge. Judge is coming back. And it is, and I think this is probably the correct word to use, the snazziest Judge we've had so far. And it is just a straight reprint of Judge. So what we're looking at here is both players shuffle a hand into their deck and draw 4 cards. Same one we've had for a while now. This is not a new card. But it is a good card. And it is a card that sees a bunch of play. It is a card that we want in the format. Did we need a reprint of Judge? No. No, it got printed in Scarlet and Violet base. And then we did actually have a full art version come around in Paldean Fates, but obviously that's got the same regulation mark. So Judge is legal, and it's going to be legal for the rest of the year. Next year, when we get our next, the first main set of next year, this Judge will rotate out, and then this new Judge will be... What? It's got regulation mark G? Yeah, I don't get this. This makes no sense. Sorry for the slow roll there, but that was my reaction. I saw this card and I was like, sweet, Judge is coming back. We are good. No, we are not good, ladies and gentlemen. We are not good. This has the same regulation mark as the one from Scarlet and Violet base, and that means that it's rotating out next year with the one we've already got. And look, I told you this has the best artwork of Judge, and it does, for what it's worth. This is, as far as I'm concerned, the best artwork we've got for Judge, in terms of the Scarlet and Violet era, at least. But it's not doing anything to the regulation mark. It's not changing it. It's not doing anything to the legality of the card. And I just don't really get, why? I don't really understand the point of this. They're taking up one of the spots in the set to give us a supporter card, which is a reprint, and that's fine. Reprinting supporter cards so that they're legal for a little bit longer, so we got access to them, is great, and this is a good card that sees a bunch of play. I fully understand it, but I don't understand why it's still regulation mark G. I understand not wanting, essentially it's regulation mark G because they want it to rotate. I get that they want it to rotate, but then why reprint it? Either you want it to rotate, just leave it alone, it will rotate, or reprint it with a new regulation mark so we can have it for a little bit longer. I really don't get this. And yes, I love that we've got the new version of Judge because it looks cool, but I don't like that it's not doing anything to the legality. If you want a quick little Judge history lesson, because we might as well while we're here, remember it initially came around back in Heart Gold Soul Silver Unleashed. That was cool. It's got Beldam on the artwork. Then got reprinted back in Breakthrough. And then after that, that's where the full art started coming. So we had the one from Forbidden Light, which had a full art in Lost Thunder. We had the one from Fusion Strike, which had the full art in Silver Tempest. And then we had the one from Scarlet and Violet base, which got the full art in Paldean Fates. Yet, weirdly, here's a fun little fact for you. We've never had a Judge and the full art of that Judge in the same set. Never happened yet. Probably going to this time around because the supporter styles tend to get full arts, but it hasn't actually happened yet. Right now, It's just weird that we're getting this. I do think that MC's Hype is a very nice card that some decks are going to make use of. We all know Judge is a phenomenal card for putting your opponent down to a low hand size and all of that, and maybe that's why Pokemon want to get rid of it. But reprinting it with new artwork in the same regulation, I don't really get it, if I'm perfectly honest with you. So there we go. That's what you need to know. Those are the new supporters, and now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about MC's Hype. Do you think it could be cool? Tell me what you think about Judge being reprinted with the same regulation mark. Do you think it's as weird as I think it is? Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And do please consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. And get shoutouts on the channel, like the lovely Star of Dav, who's been a supporter of us for a while now and seems to be a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.